Hey everyone, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to evercrisis. We're going to be talking about Red 13's banner and how disappointed I am. They did him dirty. They did him so dirty. He's like one of my favorite characters in Final Fantasy VII. And like I like a lot of the characters, but Red's just such a cool one. And the fact that they're not putting any effort into his banner really saddens me, to the point where last night on stream, I was just raging the entire time. I wasn't like Tyler 1 raging or anything like that, but I was upset. I was genuinely upset that they did this to him. So let's jump in. Let's talk about the banner. Let's talk about the pros, and we'll go through all the cons and what's up. All right, so let's talk about Red 13 and this banner and the pros to this. Now, the actual weapons on this banner are both Lucia and Red 13's. Their R abilities are fantastic. If you actually pull for these weapons and you're like wailing or you're getting super lucky, obtaining this weapon fully maxed out gives you 54 magic boost and 36 wind resist. This is perfect for any wind damage build that is magic, aka Aerith's wind build. Prism Rod, the wedding dress, just fantastic R ability. So anyone that's going to go wind magic, Canyon Collar is amazing. Now when it comes to Lucia's weapon, R ability, it's a little hard to get into these, so I'm just going to go through here. The same exact thing. Really good R ability. So if you're pulling for this banner and you end up pulling these weapons and you fully max them out, 54 magic boost, 36 lightning. Very powerful. One thing to note with Lucia's weapon is that it is actually the second lightning weapon to be featured on a banner. Murasami was the last one. I think that's proper. I talked about it with my stream last night and we were thinking over it and we're like, I can't remember the last time we got a lightning weapon in a featured banner. So I'm actually going to start off with Thunderbird because it's pretty straightforward. It's great R abilities. It's like Aerith's magic weapon for ice. It has ice damage, just a little bit, and then it lowers magic defense. It's the same idea. Thunderbird and Aerith's new ice weapon both act exactly the same. Does a little bit of lightning damage, defense mid tier, and then OB6 is high tier. And then OB10 still medium to high tier. So all you need is really OB6 on this to do pretty good chunk of damage decently to a single enemy, and then the R abilities are very fantastic on this. For S materia, you've got two 20% slots and a circle sigil, so not a bad weapon, not a great weapon. It's more there for the utility with a little bit of damage while applying very good R abilities for Lucia. Now, when it comes to Red 13, we're going to talk about his setup and how he works in this game. He isn't a bad character. It's just most people can run a single healer, double DPS team, and that works. No utility, maybe the utility of maybe bringing down a attack or defense up in the most hardest cases like floor 70, Bahamut EX2, 1, right? In those cases, yes, utility is very important, but for the most part, you can get away with a lot of things just using some materia and one or two basic weapons on your DPS, like Sephiroth the Kuja Blade, Tifa's got debuffs, Barrett's got Bazooka for magic attack down, right? Red 13 has an entire kit that really helps in so many situations, but this banner doesn't really scream next level, next meta, big impact. It just improves what Red 13 already does, and not by a huge margin that you would take away your double DPS team or your other characters that kind of have like good DPS on them, and then that utility they just throw in there. The banner itself for the costume, I think Red looks amazing. Wallpaper looks amazing. Costume just great, right? But it's a debuff extension, so that means debuffs only. It's a mastery, which gives automatic 60% just for wearing it. No point system. You don't have to get 5 points, 10 points, 15 like Yuffie, but it's only debuff and it only applies 60%. So that means whatever you have, just divide that by half and add that number, or on a calculator, just go 1.6 times 1.6, right? So if you have something that's a 20-second debuff, you just divide that by half and you add 10 seconds plus the 0.1, right? That's just a rough idea if you ever want to look at stuff. Or if you have a calculator, times 1.6, like I said. So it doesn't change anything, really. The biggest impact that this does for Red 13 is his limit break is one of the fastest limit breaks in the game. You guys know Tifa, her somersault, how quick it comes up. Red 13 is actually the equivalent of that. See? Charge speed is 800 on Sledfang. One of the quickest limit breaks in the game. It is a debuff. It's going to lower the enemy's physical attack and magic attack mid-tier. And with his costume, this is constantly up. The enemy will always have their magic attack and physical attack debuffed, and you'll constantly be running this over and over and over and having the enemy just nulled down. So it's kind of like having Kuja Blade, but built into Red 13's build. So it's good. It's good. Like, the costume makes Red 13's limit break very powerful, but like I said, it's not very necessary. Now, when it comes to the weapon, you're like, okay, cool, we got debuff duration. We might get something like Yuffie's weapons. Nope. Some random wind AoE magic defense down for all enemies, magic attack up, wind potency. What? So this is where I'm gonna go into like the ranting part, because yeah, if you get this weapon, you get it high enough, you're gonna do wind damage AoE. It's good. Magic defense down to all enemies sounds good on paper, but in practice, there's never been a fight where we're like, okay, I need every enemy's defense lowered. Usually, you walk into a fight, any fight, high score, what do you call it? The rankings. I call them high score challenges, but the ranking events. You just summon one summon and you kill the ads, and you're always dealing with one boss. Any of the crisis dungeons, any of the boss fights, anything we ever do in this game, the ads die in 1 second. We have never needed to lower everyone's magic defense. A good example of a hard AoE fight would be Final Fantasy IX event, when we had to face all 3 enemies, but we were punished for attacking the middle enemy, so we couldn't use AoE damage because it would actually hurt us. So they've never given us an opportunity in this game to really justify having AoE damage / AoE debuffs. There is like a very niche moment I can recall, but not enough to go spend all your blue crystals to say, I need magic defense AoE down right now, right? It's just not necessary. The AoE damage, AoE debuffing for defense, especially when enemies are just immune to defense down majority of the time, so you can only rely on your buffing weapons, really hurts that weapon. And not only that, they didn't even care to give them something different, right? If you go to Red 13's build, there's like a weapon here that already does this. Magic defense is decreased all enemies. Now, it doesn't go to high, even if you fully max it out. Sorry about that. But he already has a magic attack boosting, magic defense down the enemy AoE weapon. They just gave him the same weapon, essentially, and didn't even try with this guy. They're like, you know what? Instead, you have to be full HP almost, 50% or more in order to use this ability, but that's it. And on top of that, when it comes to magic attack, that is one of the weapons that have magic attack, and then that one weapon there. Like, if we go into enhance Red 13's weapons, we're like, okay, cool, we got magic attack, right? That might be really good for his build. Let's see how this works out. So, filter Red 13. Let's look at what he's got. All right. Magic attack boost. Cool. Nothing else. They just made the same weapon twice and just tweaked it a little bit. There was no effort put into Red 13 at all. If you got this banner or not got this banner, the biggest improvement is that his limit break would just be popping off. His lightning breach would definitely increase, but an OB10 lightning breach is 21 seconds. Again, just add another like 11 on there, maybe 12. You're looking at a 32 second, 33 second boost, which is nothing, right? 10 seconds it's gonna help, but it's essentially almost nothing. To justify, again, fully polling for a banner that usually changes your setup, makes it better, makes the new kind of meta quote. Does it make him better overall? Yes. But to justify that many blue crystals, there was no effort put into Red 13's banner. There really wasn't. They did him dirty. A lot of people call him the homeless because it looks like he's wearing rags. I think his costume looks fantastic, right? I love this. I want to pull it just for the costume, just because I love Red 13. But just adding a 60% debuff for this entire banner, not really that great. You're pulling for the R abilities of these weapons, and you can just wishlist these later. And when it comes to the costume, it will make him a better limit breaker for physical attack down, magic attack down. It will increase all his debuff weapons, but overall, spending that many blue crystals on this is not going to improve him that much, and it's not going to change your game. You're better off with the healer double DPS with a little bit of utility slapped on the sub weapons. Now, Red 13's best weapons are already here. We have Junk Caller, which decreases magic attack, and if you add that 1.6 multiplier to the 22 seconds, it's good, right? You're going to go Junk Caller, anything that's magic damage that you can reduce their magic attack. This works out really well, and it's got 20% materia slots. Our abilities aren't that great. Defense is good, 23, but again, you're pulling for these kind of weapons, which they're not going to make or break your game, because other characters that can do this also have that. Now, Seaside Caller would make him one of the really big reasons to pull for this banner, along with that limit break, because Lightning Breach, very powerful in this game, or Thunder Resist down if you want to call it, and it's got boost lightning damage, so he can do lightning damage, but if you're doing this, you're complementing Cloud, and my Cloud takes a Seaside Caller. If I don't need it, I can use Tifa's gloves, but it all depends which one you have overboost the most. So sometimes I just rob this and I use it in my Cloud, and that's currently what's on there, but I could change it up. But again, you can't really build him lightning because your lightning damage is already taking all the lightning weapons. So it's really hard to justify that as well, but that's another good thing about Red 13 is that Lightning Breach. The other one is Sleek Caller. Without Sleek Caller, magic defense increased. There's a lot of people in this game that weren't able to do EX2 Bahamut, fights that you have to raid your magic defense. This is one of the most important things in the game, but it's a buff. That debuff armor that he just got doesn't apply to this. It doesn't apply to anything that increases. It's only for debuffing. And then next up we've got his damage ones. He's got non-elemental 940% damage, but then his R abilities don't justify anything. It doesn't give you physical attack up because it's physical. It doesn't give you no stance ability, right? It's got 20% in the back and then a heal randomly. So it's like, yeah, that's really good damage, but our abilities don't help this at all. And then he doesn't have a costume to go along with it either. And then his Rage Caller is arguably one of his best weapons when it comes to DPS because it's got 54 boost attack and fire potency while dishing out the same damage Murasami does, right? 750% physical fire damage. But then it only has 10% materia slots, but if you're using it for fire damage, you're using it for fire damage. So those are like his top 5 best weapons. He's got HP regen, he's got healing for single target, he's got other stuff as well too. But you can see that if you do get this, you're not really doing much besides Lightning Breach and magic defense down AoE for some reason. And that's pretty much it. The limit break is the biggest thing. So they did my boy dirty. They really did. Red 13 could have been amazing. He can be amazing. They could have gave him a full DPS setup. They could have gave him Yuffie's kit, because why come here and spend the blue crystals to get a 60% debuff duration when right away Yuffie's costume gives 40% because it's automatically 10, right? And one weapon would make it 80 to 120 easily, right? But just the costume alone on Yuffie, 40% increase to buff and debuffs. And I know at the moment they have different kits, but as we go down the line, both characters are going to probably get a little bit of everything. Magic attack down, defense up, right? It's almost like they decided to give you that ugly friend so the good looking friend looks even more good looking. AKA bad banner beside a really good banner. You're like, you know what? Why would I pull for this when I can pull for this? Making Yuffie look more tempting. You know, let's start pulling. Just because this one looks so much better, it's the better banner. I feel like that's what they did. They threw Red 13 to the side, and they even threw a random Lucia weapon in there for their R abilities. If you guys are a fan of Red 13, pull for him. It's all about the husbandos and waifus in this game. I know it's weird to say for one of Red 13, but it is one of those things where you don't need the meta. You don't need the maximum of everything. If you go into my party, I currently have Red 13 built into a team, and this is what it looks like. Right? We got Murasami Cloud here. We got Rage Caller, Red 13. If I want to help during the thunder damage, if we are facing an enemy who's weak to thunder, I would take this and use thunder instead. But you can see currently without that, Red 13's rocking 3,160 He's got Ifrit for that Rage Collar because it has fire potency up. He has no costume, but this is what his build looks like. And he can do a lot of damage. And then he can apply utility, which like, okay, we need that defense up. We need that magic attack down. You just switch it, right? We need that lightning breach, 3041, right? Add that lightning materia with it and you're doing lots of damage, right? Whatever you switch to, he's roughly around that 2900 mark, right? Defense up, magic attack down, magic defense up for the entire party. Around 2900 to 3000 attack, which is very respectable for a utility character. So, yeah. It increases his kit, but the justification for the amount of crystals you're about to spend doesn't really scream unless you're going to really utilize that limit break. Right? If you're going to utilize that limit break, you didn't get Kuja's Blade, and you need an AoE, magic attack down, physical attack down, or sorry, single target. If you need that, then this works out. But besides that, it is a skip, which is sad. With that being said, let me know what you guys think down below. Are you guys going for this banner? Are you skipping for the banner? I personally still want to pull for it just for the character itself. Not because it's going to improve my game, but it's just going to make me happy. Besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll smell you later.